I didn't want the barrel on the recording because I didn't want people to think I was being, a sexist woman here. But anyway, this is Tammy DeLue, and welcome to all of you who are here on this webinar. If you're here for the Co-Ed Naked webinar, you're in the right place. Like I said, you can keep your hat on, grab a cup of coffee, be careful not to spill it on yourself, and sit down, take some notes. You're going to learn a lot today. Jess and I were talking earlier about this is ancient history right here, and he'll tell you a little bit about it. It's the studio before Rupert let go of the purse strings and upgraded everything. So that's Jess. This is Jess on The Daily Show. He was actually on The Daily Show, and that's the only intelligent, programming on TV, I think. But Jess got to be a guest star, and he's going to tell you how he did that. This is Dr. Oz, look, with a ponytail. No, he really doesn't have a ponytail. Somebody violated a first rule of photography, and that is check the background when you take a picture. But Dr. Oz has this amazing Oz effect. And what we're talking about today is not trying to get you on Dr. Oz. Although there's at least one person, Jess, who registered for this webinar who did manage to get on Dr. Phil. And if he comes on to the webinar today, I would like you to talk to him a little bit because I want him to share his experiences with that. This is, the Oprah effect, which actually bred the Dr. Oz effect, which bred all the other effects. And, Oprah, she could just pick up a box of Kleenex, and the next day 1 million people would buy the same Kleenex. So there's that effect that you can have with the media. But, again, you don't have to be super famous like Oprah to get this. And Dr. Phil, of course, another one of Oprah's proteges. So don't try any of this stuff at home. Jess and I talked earlier, and we said, most people, when they think of public relations, they think of those stunts that end up on the video reels, And this is my personal credo. I found this in the Redneck Tips. Make sure your last words aren't, I saw it on YouTube. Now, hold my beer and watch this, because so many people have tried stuff like this, okay? This is, what did you think of this one, Jess? This is an actual naked guy for PR, and he put the symbol of that company, whatever it is, on his back, and I don't want to even ask what he's got on the front, but anyway, that's an example. This guy...
That's how far people feel they have to go.
Well, you can't really see all of this picture.
That's what they feel they have to do sometimes to get PR.
Well, to get found, some people do think it's such a cluttered world we live in that they have to do crazy stuff. This guy, if you see the whole picture, he's actually a magician. He's trying to convince people that he's levitating there out somewhere in London. And look at Richard Branson. Now, I got to say, Richard Branson is not media shy by any stretch of the imagination, but he's smart. He's got the American flag on his spacesuit, right? And he does a lot of PR stuff that's just downright crazy. There's another stunt. They floated a unhappy polar bear and her cub down the Thames River advertising some product. I have no idea what. And this was a crazy one too. Giant shoe at the World Cup. My favorite. This is my favorite, Jess. Playing Scrabble while falling thousands of feet to a certain death because you can't find the last tile. That's my favorite.
So Tammy,
yeah.
This is what you're saying. This is what people have done because they couldn't think of. I mean, they got some press, but this was the best idea they came up with, and maybe there's some other better, easier ideas.
Oh, absolutely.
Is that your premise?
Yeah, I think you don't have to go extremely crazy, and I always tell people you don't have to be famous all over the world, just famous in your little niche, in your little corner of the world. And so Jess is going to tell us today how we are actually going to be able to do that. And thank all of you for being here, and take it away, Jess.
All right. Hopefully you can see my screen, and I'll turn it on up there. Can you see my big mug on there?
Yes, absolutely.
I'll take that as a yes. Now, also, one thing that's a little bit different, and hopefully those of you who are tuning in can see this, my face is, you can see a video feed of me. So I don't know if you have to click on something to see the video feed or if you just see it, but I wanted this to be real personal, and I wanted you to actually see human beings, so that's something that's a little bit different. I'm also sitting in front of my, as I like to call it, my genuine fake backdrop of New York City. I am New York City based, but this is good for webinars and for some video interviews and tapes and things like that I do. So here's what's happening today. My name is Jess-Todtfeld. I'm going to tell you a little bit about me, but I'm going to tell you how you can get massive publicity. I'm not blowing smoke somewhere. I have done this myself. I'm going to show you, I'm going to walk you through what I've done that's worked. And once you've gotten this publicity, you can, as you see on your screen, you can put those logos up on your website, on your photo like I've done, on your business cards, and you can show that you've been there, that you've done that. So today's webinar, how to get great media attention for you and your business without getting naked. So as Tammy was setting up over here, and she picked this, that clever little title for us today, a lot of people go out there and they think that you have to have a sex scandal or I guess a tape, or I had, in one of the videos I made promoting this webinar, I said you could rob a bank. That's another way to do it, or do anything nationally embarrassing or internationally. But there are some better ways, and that's what I'll be talking about today, and I've done it. There's a little picture of me. I'll tell you who I am. I'm a media trainer. That means I train people to not just be in front of the media, not just, hey, sit up straight and comb your hair. Yeah, you should do those things. But how do you convert interviews? What that means is, how do you do an interview and how do you get from the interview to more business? That's usually what people want. And I also show people how to get more interviews, which is what we're doing today. So there's me in action. I like to start with something big, and this is what this is. So instead of, hey, Jess is kind of telling you what you should do based on when he was a TV producer. I'll give you more of my bio in just a moment. But this is what you probably could do. No. After leaving television, I went and did it. So here's the short bio. I was a TV producer. I think I actually have a shot there. There we go. For 13 years on the national level, ABC, NBC, and Fox. In a second, I'll show you what I did to get something in all of those newspapers that you saw. I've written 4 books on communication. I've been running a training company since 2013. I've worked with the United Nations officials, celebrities, AARP, Land Rover, the ASPCA, you see some of them there. But after leaving television after those 13 years, I've been running my business now for the last 12 years, I realized, hey, I have to do this stuff too. I have to make sure that I use the media to drive more attention to me. And when I realized that, I said, what was it that other people did that would get me to book them on shows? So I think Tammy might have mentioned it over there. I was part of the team that launched in 1996 the O'Reilly Factor, some unknown guy with a big mouth. Let's see what happens, they said. I worked on that show. I've worked on a whole bunch of other shows, Fox and Friends, in the same network. I mean, it would be 2 of the bigger ones that you'd recognize. But I said to myself, what works? So I figured out, by the way, another bio I had says that I've booked and produced over 6,000 segments. Now, that's what made it through in 13 years. Can you imagine how many came to me through emails that I didn't say yes to? Thousands more. I'm sure thousands more, because every day we would have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of emails come through of people pitching. And I'm going to show you on this webinar pitches, a couple of pitches that are horrible, and I'm going to show you some that I've put out there that have gotten me press. So what's this about? I am going to show you the email that I sent out. I wrote one email. I put in exact quotes. I call it my soundbite quote system. I picked exact quotes that would be irresistible. These outlets and 40 more said, yes, we're going to run, and we're going to run with this story. We're going to run that exact quote. Talking about control. So this system works. I've done it multiple times. I actually just did it again a couple of days ago, and I'll lead up and tell you more about that. But I want you to know that these outlets were possible just using my system. The Guinness World Record. Let me tell you about this. A few years ago, I was coming out with another one of my books, and a friend of mine, a public relations friend, said, oh, well, you're the media guy. I hope you do it bigger than anybody else when I do my publicity blitz. And I said, okay, what does that mean? And he said, how about Guinness record big? And I laughed and I said, is there a Guinness record for interviews? And turns out there is, and it's on radio. And the old record was 72 interviews, 5 minutes long or longer, on different stations in a 24-hour period. So I looked at that, and he said, well, oh, man, 72, I don't know, that's going to be hard to beat. I figured you'd get, like, instead of 10, maybe 20. So I said, oh, you know what, I'm up for a good challenge. Let's do this thing. So the end of the story is I was able to get 112 outlets booked, and we did 112 interviews and set a Guinness record. I say we, I had a co-author during this whole little fun thing that we did. But here's what happened afterwards. People said, what did you do to get all of those stations to say yes? What did you do? What did you say? Was there a format? Is there a template? I'm going to share a lot of that with you today. You're going to have a lot of good stuff. For questions, by the way, I hate to be one of those people that says you must wait until the end. You can only ask questions at the end. No. If you have a good question, put it in the little question box, and then I can't monitor it on mine. So Tammy, if you can monitor it, are you okay with that? Uh-oh. Tammy muted herself.
I'm here. I'm muted.
Well, Tammy will be looking.
I'm here. I'm here.
Tammy will be looking to see. There it is. She muted herself.
Yeah, I got it.
She didn't want to hear us hearing her drinking coffee or whatever she's doing. Okay, very good. You can mute yourself back out again. And you're free to say whatever you like to, Tammy. So make sure to do that. All right, let's start with something good, something great, a secret. Do you want secrets? I hope you can see me, by the way. I purposely turned on my webcam, and this is a lot of fun for me, to be able to look you all in the eye. I can't really see you. You can only see me. Okay, secret time. The number one element to get the media to look at your pitch. You ready for this? Drum roll. The subject line in your email. Email is pretty much the preferred way to start reaching out to a publicist, to a media outlet. Some people tuning in today might be publicists, and they know that the subject line is important, but I'm telling you, it is the most important thing, because if that person doesn't open it up, they'll never see your full pitch. So your subject line, I'm going to show you some subject lines that are fantastic and that have worked. But first, some surprises. You want to be surprised? Here it comes. Surprise number one, the media actually needs your help. They do. They have spots available for stories, and they would like to put you on there or put somebody on there who can help them. That was the position I was in. I needed content. So if you're thinking to yourself, oh, it's too hard to break through, I can't do it. The media does need your help. But you're not helping them. You're probably not helping them right now. Let me just see here. I'll take this out for a second because I'm blocking my own thing. Okay, there we go. You need to be helping them. You need to be doing the work, thinking up the story idea, having an awesome hook in that subject line, and I'm going to show you the template where there's a big headline when they open it up and they say, oh, wow, that's the story. We should do that. And then under it will be those sound bites of what you will say in an interview. And if they see that, they'll say, great, I know what the story is, I know who this person is, that should be in there, and I know what they'll say. 3 of the most important elements, and 3 elements that was very hard for me to figure out when I was a producer. Here comes another surprise. The right email can give you national attention. Like I said, one email. I do this test all the time. I've done it with some clients. I'm going to show you how you can do it, and I will be bringing up at the end, or probably somewhere before the end, a way that you can, tap into my contacts and all of the rest of my systems. But the right email can give you national attention. I've done it. I set that Guinness record, and the wrong email can easily be ignored. That is really the norm, that they will ignore your emails. They'll see something and say, I don't really know what this is. or delete. And that is what happens. Number 3, getting local interviews are even easier. So if you are in Des Moines and you have ABC, NBC, Fox, CBS, you can get on one of those outlets and then you can put those logos as seen on ABC on your website and on your marketing materials. Do you have to say it's seen on local Des Moines? No, it's still ABC. You can if you want, if it helps you to put Des Moines, but you were seen on ABC, that counts. So getting local interviews even easier, but sorry, you must have media contacts and emails. You must actually be able to yell hello through email and get to them. That's something that I'm going to give you some access to and tell you how you can get a hold of those. Surprise number 4, many of these people that you pitch are young. Why do I say that? I say that because people get very nervous. You get up on it, whether you're on the phone or sending an email. What if they reject me? Or what if these are young people, usually a few years out of college. Does it mean that there are people who are there longer than that? Of course. I was there longer than that. But it's a young industry, media and certainly TV, as I'm thinking of TV where I did most of my work. And there are young people there. So if you have a real good story they need to know about, you should explain it and try to convince them. You just have to work the systems that I'm going to show you today. I'm going to show you a couple systems. I have more systems than that, but I'm going to show you a few here that you'll really like. What are we up against when you start out? Well, there's fear. That comes into place. You know, you say, I want to go, I want to do interviews, but then fear takes over. What fear? The unknown. Where am I calling? What does it look like on the other side? The more I can eliminate the unknown, this is what I do as a media trainer. So a good portion of my work is actually getting people on camera, executives, authors, experts, business owners, and saying, okay, we've come up with what you're going to say. Okay, now say it. But the more I can eliminate the unknown with that, and now even in the pitching stage, for you to say, okay, the person on the other side, they really need my help. They're probably young. They may not have even heard of my story. I need to enlighten them. This is something that will make you feel better. Use the systems. I'm going to give you a system for emails. I'm going to give you a soundbite system to create those perfect little answers. And also know this, a no is not an end. It's the beginning of many conversations. Quick story, I had a gentleman who called me, and he pitched me a story about ghostwriting. Hey, if people can have if they have a book idea, they can go to a ghostwriter and they'll do it. And I wrote a book about ghostwriting. This is when I worked on a news show, morning news show. I said, it's interesting to me, but it doesn't really have the broad appeal, I'm sorry. He said, okay, hey, can I pitch you again down the line? So by the way, he had sent email, but he also picked up the phone and did some follow-up. He said, can I call you again down the line? I said, sure. Yeah, you can call me down the line. And he called me maybe once a month, and on about the 6th or 8th month, he said we were having a presidential election at the time, and all of the people, I think this was the 2000 election, and we had a whole bunch of Democrats and we had a whole bunch of Republicans, and they were all running in the primaries. And he said, almost everyone has a book, and I can tell you who wrote their own book and whose was ghostwritten, and the answer will surprise you. So I said, hold on one second. I turned to my executive producer, and the executive producer said, book it tomorrow. So I want you to know no is not an end. It's the beginning of many conversations. What is your goal? What do you want to have happen as a result of interviews? So when I see people as a media trainer, I say, what are your goals? And they say, I basically just don't want to look stupid. And I say, okay, I don't know how the goal got so far down, but we can raise that goal. I said, what are you trying to make happen as a result of getting media attention? And they said, oh, well, I want to drive more business. I want to make some money. I want to, one of these things. So I said, that's exactly right. Now we can build that path to get there. So I want you to keep in mind what your goals are. So media. If we're going to break in, if you're going to break in, what stories do they want? I'm going to tell you what stories they want. Here they come. You ready? something that matches their audience. So when I worked on a morning show, and this is just one of many outlets, there's TV, print, radio, internet media, trade media, then there's even more than that. So who is their audience? So if we're talking trade, then obviously it has to be a story completely tailored to that group. If I'm working on a morning national TV show, the story about ghostwriting for ghostwriting's sake doesn't work, but if we're in an election and we're covering stories every day, boom, that matches my audience, and we want to hear about it, and that's why that story got picked. Something topical or seasonal or event or time-driven, so if we're about to come up on summer, so the 5 best bikinis for summer. Okay, what's that about? I just had a vision of of the male models and the Speedos. Do people still wear Speedos? Anyway, news tie-in. Something in the news. What's happening in the news? Let's say, a few months back, Ebola was big. Maybe there's something that you do that it has to do with healthcare and preventing infectious diseases. Maybe you're a psychologist and you want to tell people that they shouldn't freak out, whether it's Ebola or anything else that is big and happening in the news. Find your news tie-in. I'm telling you this, write these down. This is important. This is what they want. News you can use. So news you can use, I'm going to take a sip of water. As I'm all revved up today, I really want this to be great for all of you, and I want you to be able to go out and get the type of coverage that I was able to get and continue to get. News you can use. So, of course, that is something to improve one's life. It could be how to eat fast food and still lose weight. I could use that. I'm on the road a lot, working with clients. I could definitely use that. Something surprising. The one I just mentioned is pretty darn surprising, but you can even put the word surprising in your pitch. So you can say, these 5 tax tips will, these 5 surprising tax tips will save you 20% in your, or bring you 20% in your refund. I'm obviously making this particular hookup as I go along, only to make it harder on myself when I do a webinar. But that would be surprising. How can you save 20% or bring 20% more on your tax return? 5% surprising ways to do it. There you go. Local. Local outlets want something local. So if using Des Moines again, or let's pick Phoenix. Phoenix professional, Phoenix dentist, let's go with this. Phoenix dentist says you might be destroying your teeth. Or how about this one, because I actually do work with some dentists. Phoenix dentist says 89% of people do this thing wrong. Or Phoenix dentist says this DNA test, this one DNA test can save your life, which is actually a true thing. They do a swab of your cheek. Here I am thinking too much about all these things. Stories where journalism, the journalism or the work is done for them. So here's what this is. When I was a producer, when someone would come to us and say, hey, here's the story, I have pictures for you, you want somebody to interview my clients, I can get that for you. If it was a food segment, we're going to bring all the food. We're going to do, excuse me, we're going to do whatever it is to make your life easier. That was someone I would work with again and again and again. That is something that the media wants. Now, I hope you wrote those down. What stories don't the media want? I would see a lot of these when I was a producer. Something that is too self-serving. Have you ever worked in a business where you have something new happening? You opened another store, let's say. I'm thinking not corporate, but on the local level. And somebody says, we should send a press release out to the media. We should let them know that we have a new outlet that's opening. Okay, maybe the real local outlets would cover that. But for me, when I was on the national level, when I would receive that, it was just clutter. It was just junk. Why are you sending this to me? I don't even know what the story is. It's just plain self-serving. It's all about you and not about my audience. Let that sink in. It's all about you and not about my audience. That's what I was thinking. A press release would know what's in it for them, meaning the audience. So sometimes people will send, and I hate the phrase press release. I'm going to call it a pitch email, because a press release was this thing that was released out there to into the wind like doves. We're not going to do that anymore. Who knows where they fly off to. This is a very specific email targeted at a location, and we want to know what's in it for them. How will that outlet look good doing what they do? If I were back on my morning show, we want something that will keep people tuned in. So the bikini segment, that'll keep people tuned in, and it's interesting for the people at home. And if you run a bikini business, then all three groups are being satisfied, which is, if I could draw a Venn diagram, I would do it right now, which would be you, the audience, and the media outlet. If all three are getting their needs, then you've hit the sweet spot. Something that doesn't match their outlet. Oh, yes. This would happen all the time. Somebody would send something to me, and there was a time that we did not do cooking segments, and I would get something where it said, why don't you do a segment on the best quiches to serve your loved ones in the morning? Quiche? Okay, but we don't even do cooking segments. And there was nothing I could do with that. Or say I was working on celebrity segments, which I did at one point, and you sent me something about sports. Delete, that's it. Delete, delete, delete. You have no idea how you're up against that delete button. That person is really pushing that button, and I would listen to my colleagues. I'd see them sitting there checking their voicemail, and I would hear beep beep, beep beep, beep beep. I said, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just deleting out I'm clearing out my voicemail. They said, you're not going to call those people back? No, I don't even know what they're pitching. It's not for us. I don't have time. I can't do it. I want you to know that's what you're up against. Something confusing. I have an actual email that came to me. I'm going to show you in just a little bit. That is confusing. You don't know what the story is. Dead in the water. A story with someone who seems flaky. Flaky people may not know if they're being flaky, but there's a way that you can test this a little bit. Write up your pitch email and share it with somebody else who is not you, and say, can you look at this and tell me if it makes sense? And if I come off too self-serving or weird or flaky or boastful or whatever it is, or it's kind of a fine line, or am I doing it in a way that's intriguing and makes people think, hey, I want to know more? A story that's too difficult or requires too much work. Oh my gosh, I remember saying no to some of these stories that came along, where they said, yeah, Jess, you could do my story, but you need to go into census records and do about 2 weeks worth of studying up to make this thing happen. Forget it, next. I'm being on to the next thing. Unless you gave me the census records, in which case, now you've made it in. A story that they won't do a story if they haven't read your email or given you a yes or no. So step one, you're going to follow my systems that I'm about to give you, where I show you how to write irresistible emails that work. And I'm going to tell you one other thing, but I had a friend of mine who's been on the Today Show and all the cable news channels. He sent me his pitch email yesterday and said, I'm about to send this out. And he said, it's so great, isn't it? And I said in the most polite way, I said, actually, there's so much wrong with it. And he said, no, it's okay, you can tell me, I want to hear this. And it was confusing. Nobody would open the email. So that's one piece. And then also, you need to see it through to yes or no. If you send something out, I tell this to PR friends of mine, if you send it out and you didn't get a yes or a no, keep going. That game is not over. And even when you get a no, you can keep going because you can pitch something different. So what stories do they want? Be relevant. Be easy to work with. Return their calls and emails. This is a real sticky piece with a lot of people. You're not returning their calls, and make their lives easier. All right, let's get into the pitch. Ooh, something really exciting is going to happen here. I don't know why I did that. if you could see me on screen. Okay. Controlling the interviews in the press release stage.
Wait a minute.
That's an example of one of those old-style press releases.
Hey,
Yeah?
I was going to ask.
Tammy's joining us.
I was going to ask you, Yankees or Mets? Come on, you have to confess right here because I need to know. I'm a big baseball fan. Just needed to know.
Yankees. Yankees.
Okay.
But I did root for, I don't root against New York teams. I did root for the Mets in '86 in the World Series and went to the World Series last game. It was very exciting. We're so off topic. Okay, now, the press release. That is an old-style press release that you see on your screen there. It's kind of like 1928. Extra, extra, read all about it. I'm releasing this to you for immediate release, people have been told. You must put on the top. How dumb is that? You've sent it to me. Of course you just released it. Why do you have to tell me that twice? Don't waste time doing that. And I want you to look at what I put on screen. Can you read the words on that sheet? No, you can't read the words on that sheet. That's what most, if you've seen hundreds of pitches come in, eventually text that's all the same font, the same look, just words and paragraphs, your eyes want to glaze over. So this is, I'm going to show you how to do a better job. All right, let's go. Here we go. Actual email, I've changed the names to protect the innocent. Actual email that came to me when I was a producer. Subject line, I told you in the beginning when I gave you a secret, is the #1 most important element in your pitch email. Subject line. Is the U.S. headed for a similar merger with Canada and Mexico? Do you know what I say if I have my producer hat back on? I say, oh, okay. Similar to what? Huh? What are they talking about? Similar? I don't know what they're talking about. And then maybe I open the email. I wouldn't. I would hit delete because those aren't stories that I would be covering. And I open it up, and in Outlook there's something I call the first eyeful. So if you get that little preview pane, if you have your my webcam popped up, you can see me doing a little description of this. But the little pane, the preview pane, that's the first eyeful. What did this person waste the first eyeful with? It says for immediate release and some date and their contact information. I told you get rid of immediate release, and I don't care what the contact information is until I care what the story is. What a waste. And I can tell it's not written to me, which means they blasted this out. They call that spray and pray. And there's a right way to do it, and there's a wrong way to do it. I figured out a right way to do it, and people don't really know that a lot of emails are going out at once. But I'm taking the praying out. Okay, so this is terrible. Is U.S. headed for similar merger with Canada and Mexico? Lower down, it says the outcome of the last round of EU negotiations sets a bad precedent for those opposed to George W. Bush dream merger, United States, Mexico. Ugh. Oh, this is my favorite part. The late great USA, new book, The Coming Merger with Mexico and Canada. The ISBN number. Really? Did you have to send me the ISBN number? You're cluttering my head with stuff. I'm talking to Jane Smith, whose name is not the real person. You're cluttering my head with stuff that is not necessary. And I'm just going to delete it, unfortunately. Here's one better. I was helping a friend of mine, another Guinness record setter. His name is Dave Farrow, and he's a memory expert. So subject line. Here's a good subject line. RE, I put in there in reference to, so people say, okay, that's what this is about, or maybe some people, one of my little tricks, say, oh, Jess maybe did we already talk? Thought this memory expert would be good radio. By the way, only one person ever in the last 12 years has ever called me on that and said, hey, you put RE in and we weren't already talking. And other people have said it was clever. And most people don't even think about it. They just open the email. Thought this memory expert would be good radio. So this person knows we were sending it to some radio outlets. They know this is for my show. You're looking for, that's a phrase radio people use. Ooh, that's good radio. We used to say good TV when I worked in television. And we know it's a memory expert. We know what it is, and we know that, the producer's thinking, I'll be the judge of that, but we know that it's supposed to be good. This email got us 8 radio shows. Boom, 1 email. I often send out a second one that just says, hey, did you see this? And I just take the email and push it down slightly. Let's dissect it. Mark, I think this guy would be great for you. He's a world record-setting memory expert. He can give your listeners tips from how to remember where to put your keys to how memory tips can help you keep your job in an up or down economy. Notice within a couple of sentences, they know exactly what the story is. And then I do this thing that I call above the line, below the line. Below the line is all that other junk and stuff that you would be sending people. That's where you put that. So it gives the appearance, if you look on your screen, like, oh, look, he sent this tiny little email that's 1 paragraph. But really, if you look below the line, it goes on and on and on. Of course, they'll only look at that once they care. And there's a picture there which also makes this stand out. What did I say before when I showed you that other old school press release? Nothing stands out. Nothing stands out there. This stands out. So, and this got us 8 radio stations. And I said, we're getting closer. This is not even the perfect pitch yet. You ready? Let's get closer. I've been traveling, so I came back with a little cough here. Okay. This was the Tiger Woods story when he needed to go out and apologize when he upset his wife and she chased him with the golf club and all the other stuff. So what I do, this is what I do. I have my media contacts loaded up in an email system. I have a video on how you can do that. And when a story comes along, I say, great, I'm going to sit down for 5 or 10 minutes, and I'm going to write out a good subject line, and I'm going to write out what I might say on the interview, and it looks something like this. The subject line here, RE available for Tiger Woods story, POV below. POV is point of view. So the second this thing broke, I knew they were looking for people to interview. And they also want to know, what the heck is this person going to say? This is what would happen when I was in pitch meetings. They would say, oh, sounds like an interesting guest, but what's he going to say? You know, some media consultant. And actually, if you look below the line, you'll see a big headline, available for Tiger Woods interview and quotes. Can talk about Tiger Woods' what he needs to say and what he probably will say, and the impact on the business of Tiger Woods. Jess-Todtfeld, media consultant. So they say, okay, I know what the story is. This is who it is. That's a link, by the way, so they can see my bio. And then Jess-Todtfeld can say, here's what he can say. Tiger Woods must apologize to his wife and his fans, and he must acknowledge that he hurt the game of golf, and he must, so they can look at it and say, oh, yeah, that's what we want. When I was in pitch meetings, I remember an executive producer once liked somebody's pitch and said, oh, well, what would that person say? And the guy who was pitching it looked at his sheet and said, not really sure. And the executive producer said, well, you get back to me when you know. And the person nodded his head and said, yes, and he crumpled up the pitch and put it under his chair. I said, well, why did you just do that? The executive producer likes your story. He said, it's too much work. I may not even get a hold of that person. Forget it, I'll just move on. So you just learned something. You must put your point of view in the email. By the way, for that story, not only did I get a handful of outlets, including ABC local in New York City, covering me, a couple of little, actually there were some newspapers, I don't remember how well, but the Associated Press had me come in and they had me sit down and do a video interview. Some of you may not have even realized the Associated Press does that. And I left and went about my business. Turns out that thing aired on stations all across the country. I had people calling me from everywhere saying, are you in Florida? I see you on TV today. And I said, what? Wait, what happened? One email that I sent out led to the Associated Press, and I was everywhere. And I can use those logos to help promote my business. I don't think I've been using the Associated Press one. I probably should after today. This was from the Guinness Record campaign. And by the way, I just want to throw out there, I want to let you know that one thing I will be giving you a chance to get today, so it's not some big surprise later, is I have a kit called the PR Secret Weapons Kit. You know, I'm going to just go to it and just at least put something on here. Now this looks so secretive. PRSecretWeapon.com. I have a kit on there where you can get a hold of my complete Rolodex. They don't call it a Rolodex anymore. They call it a contact list. Old habits die hard. And I have 3,000 contacts that I've used and continue to use that are broken down into categories of TV, print, radio, and then there are a whole bunch of other ones that are in there. And I've actually refreshed it so there's even more contacts on there. But I'm going to tell you how you can get a hold of this, and we might even throw in something kind of special. So I want you to be on the lookout for that and at least know that that's coming up. And part of that kit is not just my contacts. It's also, well, we've taken DVDs, we made this whole thing electronic now, and you have full-length videos. I call it the quick start video on how to pitch and how to go beyond what I can tell you right now, how to really ace it. You can go back and rewatch those things. And also, I go very in-depth into other pitches that work and don't work, and I put them on screen and dissect it and stand in front of a whole flat screen and talk it through. And once you've experienced that, you'll never make those mistakes that other people made. So it's pretty good stuff. It's great stuff. I'm very proud of it. It's something that will be helpful to you, but I'll tell you about that in just a little bit. This was that you see on screen was the pitch email for the Guinness Record campaign. So at that point, 70 stations and counting, and it said our goal is more than 100 stations, and it basically said, if you want, we can do these stories. The best way to present yourself in a job interview. It was a book about presentation skills and public speaking, the other half of my business. The best way to present yourself at work, and the best way to present yourself when networking, the president's speaking style. If it were now, I probably would have included, I have a big area in my business called Speak to Close, where I help business people to speak in a better way to close more business. That would have been better for business outlets, but it didn't matter. We sent this out. It was a little menu of choices. They were bullet points, and the media said, oh, I'll have number 3, please. How great is that? And if you scroll down, there's even more. I see here, at work torture, worse than waterboarding, PowerPoint. I don't think anybody picked that one, but that one cracks me up. But they picked other ones. All right. I have the perfect template that I'm going to show you. And I said we're going to make it even better. This is the big template. Why, Jess, would you give away your template? Because there's even more than this, but this is fantastic stuff. All right. This was a client of mine, Dr. Barry Friedberg. He's an anesthesiologist. And he said, I'm just going to set up for you what the problem is. The problem is that when you go and you get surgery, the anesthesiologists in the hospital monitor your breathing and they monitor your heart rate. But what are they sedating? Your brain. So he said there's something called a brain monitor, and he said it's there's a $20 suction cup that hospitals don't want to buy and stick on your head. And when we monitor that, we don't have people dying because we know exactly where they are, and it's kind of this Goldilocks, not too much, not too little, not too much. So what's the subject line? Hospitals save money. You might pay with your life. Would that make you open this email? It made other people open the email, and he got some press. Hi, Barry. Hi, first name. You have to have the person's first name on there. And that's it's an important part because they don't say what I said earlier, which is this person just did a spray and pray. They sent it to any old person. It's not directed at me. I'm not reading it. I'm not going to waste my time with somebody who couldn't direct something to me. Hi, Barry. Would the story below work for you? Holy cow, that's all Jess put in the above line portion? Yes. And then below, actually, I kind of made the line rise up, and I put this guy's contact information because I didn't want them calling me. The one thing that I do not do is publicity for other people. I do train people to do it themselves, and I do have this kit that I'll be telling you about, where you'll be able to do it yourself and do it easily and have everything set and ready to go. But I was doing this for a client because he was a good guy, and he was just so close. And I said, just send me the email. I'm going to fix it. So I included it with some other stuff that he had me doing, some other media training. So below the line to headline, a subline, nice big headline like, hospital saved money, you might pay with your life. We would put that there. And what Dr. Barry Freeberg can say. And those bullet points, that's the template. And it works. I'm going to give you a little case study here. You may remember in my area in New York, we had a congressman named Anthony Weiner, and he decided one day to become a photographer. That's right, that's a picture of his cell phone. So he decided to become a photographer. I'm trying to be very delicate about this as he took pictures of himself without pants on, which is getting publicity, comes full circle, by being naked. That's not what I want you to do. Now, I had friends who said to me, hey, Jess, are you going out there and talking about it? Are you doing media interviews? And I was very busy that week, and I said, I'm busy. I don't even know if I want to be bothered with this or connect with this guy. And then I thought about it, and I said, you know what? This is another fun one to do a test. So I realized career opportunity for me to use my soundbite system and go out there and use this email system. So I'm going to show you, this is the email that went out. Subject line, Wiener Fallout. That was an unintended pun, sorry. It really was unintended. Wiener Fallout, meaning there's all this fallout from him taking his pictures. Available media consultant. So they knew they needed a guest. Here's who's available. What's the story? Here's who is available on the subject line. Hi, first name. I put Mike. If you're looking for a media consultant to provide quotes on the story, let me know. Here are a few things I might say. So actually, I probably could have, I didn't do the above the line, below the line, but I'm going to tell you this worked, and it worked in a big way. So I put a bunch, and you can see them on there, some of the quotes that I would say, but I'm going to show you the one that they picked. Here it is. Can he repair his image? He can never truly get past this story. He has mortally wounded his political career, but that doesn't mean he can't star in a reality show or host a program on CNN. That went everywhere. That went everywhere. And we'll see if I have some time to tell you what makes that so irresistible. But I want to make sure to get to a lot of stuff here. So where did that go? Washington Post picked it up first. And then the Washington Times picked it up. I don't know why Washington liked it first. Then the Vancouver Sun, Dallas News, Financial Times, The Atlantic, Forbes. Then the Philadelphia Inquirer picked it up. And I didn't think much of it. And by the way, when I say picked it up, some of them called me and they said, hey, can you give us some quotes? And then I just read the quotes off my sheet and they said, fantastic, and printed it verbatim. A couple of those outlets didn't call me and they just printed it because they said, yeah, the quote's right here. We know what he's going to say. Seems like bad journalism to me. But anyway, I was happy. But when it went to the Philadelphia Inquirer, that outlet will syndicate their stories. So it went to 15 more newspapers. And then other people started seeing it. And by the time the momentum was done, we hit 40 to 50 newspapers. I think it's about 46 newspapers in there, so I just wrote 40 plus today. Would you be happy if you can get, with one email and one follow-up, if you can get into more than 40 newspapers? I'm going to go out on a limb and say, of course you would be happy about that. And there's some other wins that came out of this situation. The Washington Post said, Jess-Todtfeld is a media training expert. Don't think that's not in every bio that I have now forever. It's fantastic, and I use that when I need to. The Washington Times said, the public relations mavens weigh in. Jess-Todtfeld says, so they referred to me as a public relations maven. Great. In the right circles, and on a day like today, I will use that. This is the template. You should go use that. Yeah.
I was just going to say,
what's that?
Maven is traditional.
Tell me, Tammy.
Maven is female. Okay, you know, I'm just saying. Okay, I'm just saying.
Yes.
Maven is a female.
Maybe who is female?
Maven. Maven.
Maven. Maybe.
Maven is female.
Maven.
Maven is female. No, look it
All
up.
right.
Look it up. I'm just saying. Okay. These journalists.
Oh, I see. Maven.
Maven.
So that you're saying, so when they said the Maven's way in, they're telling me I'm a woman.
Yeah. No,
I don't know where
it tells me
this is going with that.
they don't know vocabulary is what it tells me. There you go.
They don't know vocabulary.
That's right.
All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, I want to tell you about the sound bites, but I also want to tell you about this kit and give people a chance to know about it. And then I have something so juicy about my soundbite system to create the irresistible quote. And I'm just tell you right now, I did it the other day, and I was at an event, and I was talking about publicity, and I thought, you know, it'd be good if I could get the local media to come, and it was here in New York. And I sent out one email to 250 local outlets. I usually send it to thousands and then get a handful, but I said, we'll see what happens. One outlet said yes and decided to come, a tiny little publication called the New York Times. And they came, they did a story. It's going to run next week. And they interviewed me, and they took pictures, and it was about professional speakers, and they took some pictures of other folks. Let's hope they mainly put me in there, but it's okay, my colleagues. All right, I want to show you something about this. You need to have a media list, and you need to have it queued up. You need to have it ready to go. And when something happens, the Anthony Weiner story, or Tiger Woods decides to lose his mind, or whoever it is, or somebody's running for president, and they announce, since we're in election year, you need to then go write your email, say these are the lists I'm sending it to, boom. Thankfully for you, I have media lists that I've put together over the last bunch of years. I refreshed them recently, and my media contact list consists of this. I have 2,800 print contacts all across the country, national contacts. By the way, if you're saying, well, I'm in the local area and I just want people to be excited about me, guess what? If you've been seen in some national newspaper, written up, and you put it on your website, you're still going to look amazing. National TV, just under 1,000, and actually it's more than that because I've refreshed, and I have a couple of other lists. The National Talk Radio program directors, here's my secret. You see there's 1,700 on there. When I set the Guinness record, I sent my pitch to the program directors. Why did you do that, Jess? Who cares? I did it because that is the boss of the people who I knew would be on the shows. And when I worked in television, sometimes people would accidentally send it over my head, and they would send it to the president of the whole network. And the president of the network would look at it and say, oh, why are they sending it to me? They put a post-it on it saying, maybe you want to do this for your morning show, and they send it off. And how did we take that post-it? How did we receive that? We received it as, maybe you want to do this story. Notice how that sounds different. It sounds like maybe you better do this story. And we did it every time. It was insanity. I worked that to my advantage. That is a piece of how I set the Guinness record. And those are the contacts that I continue to use. And I have another mixed group of about 1,600. So now with all of the updates, I say 3,000 contacts. I actually have 7,000 contacts that I give you. And you can upload it into one of these systems like Constant Contact. There's actually a way to do mail merge with Outlook, which is free. But I actually made a brand new video explaining exactly how I do what I do so that it makes it easier on people. So you must have those emails ready to go. If you go to an outlet like Cision Point or Vocus, these are companies that sell lists, you will spend $3,500 to $5,000 on lists. And you are welcome to do that. It is no big deal. You know, be my guest. I was able to get some from here, from there, pull myself, publicist friends along the way and given me lists, and I've been able to build, and then also just by being on shows, I've been able to build a list. By the way, this came up yesterday. All the people that booked me for the Guinness record, with the exception of maybe one or two, the 112 outlets, they did not know me. It was just me working my system. The New York Times the other day, when they came and covered this thing, I never met her before. I was able to work the system and use that email. Same with the Tiger Woods story. They didn't know me. In fact, a couple people who knew me who used to work with me said, didn't you used to work with us? I'm confused. What do you do now? And it's all your colleagues that are booking me. And then they said, oh, I see what you're doing. So they didn't know. So don't spend that. Let's see here. $997 is what I sell the list for. And there's a whole bunch of bonuses with the videos. They were actually, this was a physical kit that I now made in digital. So there were 3 DVDs. There are 2 that are basically going to be your quick start. If you do that and you load up the list, you're off and running. And then I had 15 audio interviews. But now, Tammy, you said we should do something special for everybody today. So, Tammy's still muted out.
No, I'm not muted out. I did.
So, we're going to do a flash special. I didn't get any extra bandwidth for this, but we're going to do a flash special. All right? $497. And wait until you hear everything that comes with it. Now, to get that, if you go to PR Secret Weapon Singular and you go to that webpage, you'll see examples of some of the videos and audios and all the stuff that you're going to get. But at the bottom, if you click pay, it will say $997. You must put, by the way, this is only available today, as you see on the screen. So I'm going to take it off because I can't keep doing this. But you need to use the code TAMMY.
Yeah.
And Tammy DeLoe is the person who made this webinar available today, so I figured why not use her name to make that code. So that code will be active today only. You're welcome to spend twice as much if you go tomorrow. In fact, Tammy, can they do that? Can they just go tomorrow and spend twice as much?
Well, yeah.
I encourage that.
No, they could.
All right.
They're used to me giving me a deal. This is really a good deal. I wanted to tell people that I've started using this because I had so many financial advisors ask me, how do I get on TV? How do I get my stuff printed? So I got Jess's stuff, and I was really impressed. But I'm going to throw something else out, too. I'm going to say the first 5 people that get it,
yes.
The first 5 people that get it, I'm going to personally go over their press release that they write. I'll help them with it. And then we'll give it to you, Jess, and you can put the seal of approval on it.
Yes.
Tell us what we need to do to fix it.
Well,
you know.
I might do something special for the first 5 people.
Okay.
But I want to show you. So the kit when I first came out with it was called the Ultimate Insider Roadmap for Pitching This. As time went on, I had a client who said, call it what it is. These are pure secret weapons. So I laughed and I said, I'm using that. And so it became the PR Secret Weapon Kit. And that's exactly what you're going to get. So it says bundle there, but you're basically getting the DVDs. You're getting it delivered electronically. How to pitch the media. I go very in-depth into all of my techniques and systems to get them to open your email and respond. DVD, and by the way, please tune in, stay tuned in and stick around because I want you to be able to hear a little bit about those sound bites. All right, so then the DVD on the beginner's record, how the heck did we do that? I have audio interviews. So the audio interviews are really support to help you get better and better as the year goes on. I see everything that I do in my company as not just this in and out, you know, hey, I sold you something and I ran away. No, I want you to get better and better and be doing so amazing, such an amazing job that everybody says, how the heck did you do that? Oh, jess-todtfeld is the guy who showed me. Jess-todtfeld is the man. You have to go and see his stuff. So I want it to be a win-win. So these audios, I did an hour with a cable news producer. She didn't want me to say which one. That particular one rhymes with Schmuck's News, and I also had a CNN person. I also had somebody from the CBS Early Show and Good Morning America. They each have their own hour interviews. The media training primer, that is an hour of me giving you all of my media training systems. Holy cow, Jess, I can't believe you put that in there. Yes, I did, as I talked to myself. Secrets on radio publicity from a buddy of mine who did 2,000 plus radio shows. And he gives away all the secrets, and he explains. It was fantastic. Maybe you want to start your own internet TV show. We have an audio on that. We have, so I had broken it up. There were actually these 2 binders. So just that first binder, I have sold for $1,000. And there's a second binder. You can see it looks different than the other one. It's slightly called the gold binder. And it has a bunch of different extra DVDs and CDs and all these things to help you. So that's the one that has pictures that work, pictures that don't. It's part of the kit. I'm delivering it, like I said, electronically to everybody. That's the way it's gone in the last couple of years. And you'll just have that instant gratification. But you're going to see those pitches, more of the pitches that work, and say, oh, okay, I should do that. And really the biggest learning is what doesn't work. What are people screwing up constantly? Don't do that. You won't make their mistakes. So that's on there. And like I said, if you watch the 2 main DVDs and you load up those contacts, it's the quick start. You're good to go. I did an interview for an hour with somebody, a high-level producer on Good Morning America. I talked to a radio, he's not just a producer, he's a host, on how to get booked and sell your product. That's in there. My good buddy, Scott Lorenz, who is an amazing PR and book marketing guru, I interviewed him for, I guess, close to an hour, and about what does he do, because he's a PR guy who says, it's marketing, people. I don't know if he said people, but he said it's marketing. We need to draw people in so they'll actually go buy your stuff. He's on there. He talks about it. A friend of mine, PR person who worked for Geraldo Rivera and Dick Clark and syndicated TV shows. She's on there. So there are all these great things. I just want to mention, since we're hitting the hour, and I may go over slightly, PR Secret Weapon is the web page. You can see samples of these things, little samples, and that if you click today, if you click through and you put code Tammy, then you're going to be able to get the $4.97 deal, and there's going to be something I'm going to sweeten it in a second. Jumping further down, that was the CBS Early Show. Oh, sell massive amounts of products during interviews. This guy, my buddy Dave Farrow, memory expert, he said, here's what I do. Here are the phrases that I use so that people will go from the media interview to the sale. That's important to many of you. Here's a friend of mine who has been on reality TV, and I figured I might as well interview her and tell you how to use that as a strategy. So that second kit that I've sold before for $1,000, you're getting that too. You're getting the 2 binders and my contact list. Notice I put up a picture of a Rolodex because that's how my brain thinks. And you're going to get those contacts. You're going to get the digital box sets, which are 3 DVDs, or videos and DVDs, and 15 audios. That is a $3,000 value, as I have sold them separately. And today we're doing it, if you use the code for $4.97, use the code TAMMY, and you go over to prsecretweapon.com. Tammy, did anybody ask any questions before I just talk briefly about sound bites?
A few people put in some questions. I don't think we're going to be able to get to all of them, but there's an interesting one here from Bill, and he's in Illinois. He wants to know, what do you know about HARO, H-A-R-O, Help a Reporter Out, and is that a useful tool or not?
I just met the founder. Well, I met him before. I just spoke on the same stage as the founder, Peter Shankman, a couple of days ago, and he sold that and all that stuff. Help a Reporter Out is a fantastic idea, but there's so many people looking at it. So it's very hard to break through nowadays. There are thousands and thousands of people responding. Do I need to be one of the first respondents, or do I have to be one of the last ones? I don't know. I've responded and continue to test it here and there, and I don't get any response on it. And I know what I'm doing. So sorry. I'm sure there's good stuff, but it's kind of big and bloated. Hit me with 1 or 2 more, Tammy, and you know, I'll go back and I'll answer more questions at the end. But yeah, hit me 1 or 2 more, because I want them to feel that the real questions have been answered.
Yeah, so here's one from Carol, and she wants to know, all right, so I managed to get myself an interview at a local TV station, and they're asking me questions and everything. How do I get them to allow me to promote that segment? Do they help at all, or what is my role after I've done the taping?
after you're done with taping, they are not even expecting you to promote it, but I would promote it to social media, all your social media contacts. If you have an email list, meaning people who know and like you and ideally trust you and all that stuff, send it out to your email list. Promote it like you'd promote anything else that's big and happening, and tell people they should tune in. And the other thing is, that's if you really want to do that on that front side. Once the interview is done, and it's funny, I'm more concerned not about people seeing any of the interviews I do when they run, but I want to leverage the heck out of it after it's happened. So a couple of weeks ago, I didn't bring this up, sent something out, and my local Fox station, local channel, was doing a story on public speaking. I sent something else, but they called back and said, yeah, we want to do a story on you on public speaking because we know that's what you also help people with. So I said, okay then, and I went in. They highlighted me. They called me one of the top 2 people in the New York City, and nobody saw it, or I'm sure somebody saw it when it was on live. I didn't even promote it. After the fact, I went and I sent it out through all my social media channels. I put it on various web pages. I have a few more to do. In Facebook groups, when somebody said something, I said, oh, well, last week when I was on doing this thing, I put it in there. In fact, I used it to promote my talk at this conference the other day. So there are all these different ways that I show people how you can leverage those interviews. But her question was, how can I help the station? If you tell the station you're pushing it out everywhere, they'll be pleased. They're not expecting it, but they'll be pleased. Tammy hit me with another one. She's looking.
For me, this is one for me. I'm kind of curious. I book, as you know, for a couple of radio stations. Okay, I book people on the show, and I go out and look for people. If you're a producer and you're out there searching for people, how important is it for that person to have a really great website? In other words, are you Googling me as a producer? Are you finding out some background? Are you looking at my website? What are you doing?
Well, I brought up this phrase, social proof, earlier. And that's proof that you're the real deal. So when a producer clicks through, ideally you have something that doesn't look crummy. It doesn't have to be the best, most expensive website ever, but it shouldn't be crummy. But what am I looking for? I want to see if you've been interviewed elsewhere, because I don't want to be the first one. Oh no, Jess, it's a catch-22. No, that's what I'm trying to help you with today, so you can get these first ones. But that's something I'm looking for. But Jess, wait. You like this conversation I'm having with myself. But Jess, wait. If they're looking for it, and it's the people I sent it out to, then maybe they won't book me. Not my experience. If they love the story and they open it, then they just go to it. And the New York Times didn't even go to my website. She just said, I love the story, let's do it. So you should still have a good website. You should still have media interviews on there and other social proof of you being the real deal. And but you can really handle a lot of it in the email. In fact, like I said, most of the time they just see the email and they pick up the phone and they call me. All right, let me just...
one more.
So PR secret weapon. I got out of that. I want to just show you. Yeah, sure.
It's one more from Stan.
I'll answer more afterwards. I'll stay later on the call.
There was one more from Stan where he said,
what's that?
If a producer, if you do make it, and your article gets published, or a producer, airs your segment, is it gauche if you ask them, if they tell you what a terrific segment it was? Can you get a testimonial from them?
They may be nervous that it's not gauche, but and I think you're a smart business person to ask. I ask people for testimonials. You can see me on the video here. I will even take out my cell phone at a conference if someone said something nice. I will first thank them. Jess, I loved your speech, and it was great for these reasons. Thank you so much. You made my day, which is the truth. And then I will say, hey, would you be willing to say that on video so I could use that as a testimonial? And they'll say, oh, my gosh, sure, fine. I only had one person ever say no, and it's because she said she had no makeup on. She actually emailed me something after the fact. But the producer, they're going to be nervous that their boss, they're going to get in trouble. Where is this thing going to show up because they didn't get approval to show up wherever you have something. You have to be creative with it. You have to figure out something they said, and maybe use it in private marketing materials. Definitely you can use the logo. Now some people are listening and saying, but I didn't get explicit written approval for the logos. I've talked to some lawyers about this, and they said, unless you're bashing them, they're really not going to give you a hard time. And when I worked in television, people would put the logos on their websites, and they would even take the video of the interview and put it on their website. And we never gave express permission to do this, and we really did not care. In fact, we were happy because we were getting more attention. So something to think about. All right. Before I give that, tell you that I'm going to tell you what the bonus is that I'm going to throw in, so you know what the full offer is. PR Secret Weapons. Tammy said she's going to look at your pitches. I'm going to do a call with a group call with the 5 people. I'm going to hash out your pitches and help you refine them for the first 5 people who buy this. My consulting time is worth way more than the $500 for this whole thing, but I would love for you to be a success. And the reason why I want to do it as a group of the 5 of you is I want you to hear what the other people are saying and what's working and what isn't. And I'll give you a little homework assignment to come up with a few hooks. Those are those grabbers. The sound bites, I'm going to tell you about a couple of the elements right now. And then we're going to hash it out together. So you'll walk away getting yours, but you're going to hear what the other people have, and you'll say, oh, I could do a version of what they just did. I like that, but I'll put my own topic on it. So that's what you'll get if you go to PR Secret Weapon. All right, the sound bites, you better go fast because those 5, and I see that 2 people, no, wait, is that more? I see some people already bought it. Okay, soundbite quote system. This will get you quoted. What is it? When I was a producer, we used to take a videotape and we walk into an edit room, and I would say, I know a soundbite when I hear it. We pop the tape in. Tammy will laugh. They don't use tape anymore. They don't have the boxy TVs either. But we listen for it and we say, there it is. Use it. Pop the tape out. We're done. And what were we looking for? So when I left TV, I sat down and I said, what, can I reverse engineer this? Here are some of those elements. And if you take out today's newspaper, you will see that the quotes fall into some of these categories. Analogies, this is like that. That politician was like a fish out of water where we were in this arena. You might see something like that. If you look in today's newspaper or Google a newspaper, since they're mainly online now, you will see analogies. This process that I'm showing you today is like riding a bicycle. I can tell you all about it, but I got to get you doing it so you can master it. That's my analogy. We've all been taught to never, ever, ever write cliches, but journalists can't stop themselves quoting someone else using cliches. It's unbelievable. It's like putting a little cat toy in front of their face. They're like, I can't touch this cat toy. So what are some cliches that they like to use? You're talking, you're giving your interview, and by the way, sound bites are not me teaching you how to speak in short, halting ways. That's not what this is. It's within the paragraphs of what you say. You're talking, boom, you drop a gem in their lap. So you're talking, and then you say, look, the bottom line is blank. And then you say what you were going to say anyway. Or you're talking, look, at the end of the day, blank. And then you say what you were going to say. You bottom lined it for them. You've gotten to the big important point. You're talking, and then you say, and if they do that, that will be the light at the end of the tunnel. They use this stuff. Look in today's newspaper. When I do this as a live workshop in front of people, everybody has a newspaper in front of them. And I get people, when I give them the full list of 14 different soundbite elements, and I'm only going to give you a handful right now. It's included in the kit in the media training primer. But everybody opens up their newspaper and they look and they say, oh, I notice here that this is, quote. I'll say, yell out the quote. And it turns out it's one of these elements. And then they'll say, okay, holy cow, this was in today's newspaper. So if they're in today's newspaper, this might actually be what people choose. And it actually works on the pitching side too. This is part of how you create irresistible hooks in that subject line and that big headline inside the email. Here's another. Prediction quotes. What can you predict? A year from now, this company will be out of business. Mark my words. This will catch up to her. If you said that, they're going to run with it. And what happens a year later if your prediction didn't come through? Nobody remembers. It's kind of funny like that. Here's another prediction. I see this stock doubling over the next year. This person will be the new star of our industry. Predictions. Use those prediction quotes. Conflicts. Conflict quotes. We will take down the competition. That organization is lying. They're a bunch of lying liars. You said something like that? There's plenty of conflict in it. And we see this work certainly during an election season. So I want this to be on your radar now, a few of these. Give you another one. Absolutes is actually one of my other techniques. I don't have it up on here because there are 14 of them. We don't have time, but I wanted to give you some. But to give a string of 3 absolutes, I call it the triple play, will work for you and get you quoted. So these athletes need strength, they need endurance, and they need to break the record. Say we're talking about the Olympics. That is a great one. One more. Something shocking and surprising. This is a real one from some dentist clients of mine. And by the way, I work with a lot of folks in financial services. I have a big trading that I'm pointing, oh, you can't see me maybe, but I'm pointing, I'm preparing for tomorrow. Big company, I can't say who it is, in New York City tomorrow. Financial services, healthcare, insurance, these are big sectors. Celebrities is a smaller part, but I do get to work with some celebrities. And the United Nations has brought me in to work with a lot of their top officials, so that's been great. Shocking quote. You can brush your teeth with sugar. I am a dentist and I'm fine with recommending this. This is what it is. It's called xylitol. Just letting you know because it sounds so outlandish. So outlandish that they'll quote this person doing it. So those are a few of the soundbite techniques. Definitely check today's newspaper and you're going to see those elements in the newspaper so you know that what I'm saying is the real deal. If you want my media contact list, that now has about 7 or it's actually more than 7,000 contacts. Today only, you're going to be able to get this flash special. Use the code TAMMY. And I'm really excited about the stuff that you get, PR Secret Weapons, all the videos that I really, that's high production value, that I really spent a lot of time working on, and I think that they'll take you to the next level.
Good stuff.
So with that, should we draw a line and then just do bonus questions and I'll answer questions and let people go along their way? Yeah.
They're used to me always being on time and running it a little out. This information was so great and so valuable. I think if you use one thing you'll learn here today.
Thank you.
Get in touch with the media because other people know that I've sold stuff that doesn't do half of what you do for a lot more money than that. It's not just buying a product though. Jess and I have partnered together to really try to make this work because I'm excited as a former journalist of ill repute that that I'm excited about this whole thing, and that's why I wanted to bring it. And I'm glad you guys stayed on until the end. We can take some more questions, but you can type them in, and what's going to happen is Jess is going to get the report, and if you have a really great question, he's going to, he can respond to you via email. And then we'll contact the 5 of you who got the system today, and then we'll arrange the time in the future, right? Sometime, Jess, when you're not on the road or out, whatever, at a Yankees game or wherever you are.
I'm going to do one other thing. If anybody gets it right now, I'm looking to see who popped up. I will allow the next 5 people to get those bonuses that we said, where they're going to get extra attention from you, and they're also going to get extra attention from me in the form of a call and working on those pitches. So if you go to PR Secret Weapon, you scroll to the bottom, some of the people might actually be watching some of the videos on that page to see what the heck is in that actual kit. But if you do that, you're going to get this kit and it's really fantastic. You have to put in the code TAMI. I made it all lowercase, so I think that's what's going to work. And you'll get the special price there.
That's okay.
But I'm going to add the next 5 people as of right now who get it, that will extend that to you.
Okay, perfect. Hey,
So,
and also the
yes.
brownies. The brownies. You forgot the brownies. Did you know on my webinar I always pick one person to get a box
Are you
of brownies?
talking about the Cub Scouts?
These are not California
A
style.
box of brownies? How does that work?
Wait, this is how it works because we're doing a bi-coastal. We're doing
It's not,
we're doing a bi-coastal webinar here. You know, New York. I'm in California, and
fantastic.
people think I'm sending them funny California brownies, but these are real, legitimate brownies. And I'm going to draw a name out of the hat and tell you who gets these brownies that stayed on until the very end. And the winner of the brownies is Scott Lawrence, L-O-R-E-N-Z, Scott Lawrence. You make sure that you email me, Scott, with your mailing address so that I can send you a box of custom brownies, gourmet brownies.
How great is that?
And Jess gets one too, but, you know.
That is fantastic.
All right. Thanks so much, everybody. Again,
Great.
PRSecretWeapon.com is the website. Go there. The stuff is really amazing. If you really are serious about getting in print and getting with the media, Jess is the guy. You know, I appreciate him for being here all the way live from New York. And it's been great having you all here during this webinar. He's standing in the Hudson River, I told him. He's standing right in the Hudson River. So anyway, thank you, everybody.
I'm standing. That would be a backdrop, yes.
And my email.
I'm floating.
My email for
Thank you for tuning in today, and
I was going to give my email.
look forward to making all of you look good.
Well, we've got a little bit of lag there, but it's imaverick3@gmail.com. So that you can email me with your questions as well, and then we'll forward them on to Jess. Thanks a lot, Jess, for being here. Everybody, there is a recording, so I will be sending it to you shortly. Thanks so much.